All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Athar, Vyashika, Aishwarya, everyone. One quick check with AV. Are we good here? Just give me a heads up if our AV is good. Good evening, everyone. Just let me know if your AV is good here. Hello, good evening, good evening. Folks, can someone confirm the AV here? Are you guys able to see me and hear me? All clear? Great. Awesome. So we'll get to the class. You're gonna do one round of very specifically. We are gonna focus on PYQs and very specifically on the arithmetic part of it. Just in case if you have already taken this up, great. There's one change. We'll just probably clarify it. So we're gonna focus on 2025 slot 1, not 2021. We'll be doing 2025 slot 1. We'll be very specifically be focusing on the arithmetic part. So we have been building a lot on this idea that arithmetic is your mothership of quant. It's super important that you get it. Now it is time to probably have a look into a few questions from the last year slot. So 2025 was, if I have to define 2025 question paper on the quant section, the one word that I often have in my head is it's super boring. It's way too boring. It was brute forcing it. There was no juicy methods to solve something. There was no logical approach of a bunch of questions. It was sheer application of equations, solve them, brute force it, and get it done. So that's going to be a pretty tricky spot. That was one when it came to the last year. We're going to have a look at a few questions. We'll understand it and also give you a few suggestions on how to attempt this question. What should be your strategy to attempt these questions? Should you be attempting them in your first review or second review, or should you be dumping them? Is a decision that we also have to look into. So we'll take question after question, one question at a time. We'll have a look into it and then we'll solve them. That's going to be the key. So without any further ado, let's start our class here. I'll do this as we always do. I'm going to show you a question. I'll give you a minute or two for you to understand, get used to the language in the question, pen it down and see if you can solve it. In 2 minutes, we'll start solving. So the first question for you is over here. Have a look at it. And let's solve this. Let's have a read at the question. The question says, at a certain simple rate of interest, a given sum amounts to 13920 in 3 years and to 18960 in 6 years and 6 months. Okay, so 3 years, 6.5 years, simple interest. If the same given sum had been invested for 2 years at the same rate as before, but with interest compounded every 6 months. So the same amount for the same interest, but compounded half yearly for 2 years, would be the interest would have been near to what? So they are asking you the interest on that case. Let's do this. Nothing fancy. Classic SICI. First, I'm going to think about the simple rate concept here. So there is a principal amounts to 13920 in 3 years. So in 3 years, it has gone to 13920, and in 6.5 years it has gone to 18960. So already 3 years done. So this means if I put it for another 3.5 years, I'll go to 18960. We know for a fact that simple interest, year on year interest is always same. So whatever interest that you get here for every year, it will always be the same. So from here to here, I notice that it has increased by 5040 plus 5040 rupees in 3.5 years. So I can say, so 3.5 years is equal to 5040. Therefore, in 1 year, it will be 5040 divided by 3.5. 3.5 I can write it as 7 by 2. So this will be 5040 divided by 7 into 2 here. 7 beautifully divides 5040 because I know that 7 factorial is 5040. So this is 720. So this will give you 1 year, it is 1440. Right? So in 1 year, the interest component will be 1440. That's all. 1 year simple interest is 1440. But from here to here, it has been sitting there for 3 years, which means it will be 1440 into 3. 1440 into 3, 1442. Then 140, this will be 4320. Am I right? 132, 300, 4320. So P plus 4320 is equal to 13920. 3 years interest is 4320. Principal plus this will be your amount. So from here I can say what my principal is. We can find our principal here. So principal is equal to 13920 minus 4320. So if I subtract this, I'll get 0, 0, that's 0, 2, 2 minus 2 is 0, 9 minus 3 is 6, 39,600. I found my principal. Nice. After all these steps, we have figured out what our principal is. We have come to that. Now, we have to find a rate of interest that is also needed. How will you find rate of interest? Your interest component for 1 year is 1440. So 1440 out of 9,600 into 100 is my rate, isn't it? So that will be equal to 0, 0 gets cancelled. 1440 divided by 96. 96 goes in 48. This also goes in 48. This will be 2 times. 144 goes 3 times. So this is 30 times. So further cancel it, 15. So R is equal to 15%. So how my principal is equal to 9,600. How my rate as 15%. I can use these two and I can find compound interest for 2 years. So how will you do compound interest for 2 years? P is equal to 9,600. R is equal to 15%. N is equal to 2 years. Compounded half yearly. So compounded half yearly for 2 years means you'll have to do it for 4 halves. 15% per annum. That will be 7.5% per half. So you can write it as P into 1 plus 7.5 divided by 100, the whole power 4 minus P. Why? 15% per year, 7.5% per half, and I have to do it for 4 such halves. I've plugged it in the formula. Let's do this. I know P value is 9,600. I can take out that 9,600 common. 9600. This will be 107.5. 1.075 power 4 minus 1. So this will be equal to 1.075 power 4. Can someone pull out a calculator and tell me the value? .075 power 4. Can someone tell me what this value is? And then multiply this. I'm assuming you are getting 128 20.50 minus 9,600. I'm going to assume that that's going to be the value at here. Just verify this, multiply these two and tell me whether you are getting this value. So subtracting these two, what do you get? 128 minus 96 is 32. So that is 3220.5. The closest value that I have is 3221, and that is your answer. Boring, too many equations, but then the moment you crack the first idea here, when you get this idea, find principal and find rate, you can probably pull out a calculator and do this math. This should be done in a calculator. There's no other way. You cannot sit and multiply this power 4. So use a calculator. 1.075, square it, that is power 4. Subtract 1, multiply 9,600, you will get your value. Nice question. The idea is that you need to understand which formula goes where. The moment you get that, the entire question falls into your plate. Is this a question that you can go for your first attack? Definitely yes. Definitely not that challenging. Lengthy, might probably take some 4 minutes of your time, but hey, 4 to 5 minutes in your first round, you get your question in the bag, it's still good. I'm not going to complain. I wouldn't complain. I'm getting a question right in 4 minutes. I'm happy. So you can go for this. If you are not comfortable doing mental math, feel free to pull out a calculator and do the math. That's completely fine. Right? We'll move on to the next question now. Nice question. I'll give you a minute again. And let's solve this question now. Beautiful question. A container holds 200 liters of a solution of acid and water having 30% acid by volume. Atul replaces 20% of the solution with water, then replaces 10% of the resulting solution with acid, and then finally replaces 15% of the solution thus obtained with water again. So he is doing 3 iterations here, but first iteration he replaces with water, second iteration replaces with acid, third iteration he replaces with water again. We need to be careful. It's not same item being replaced. Had it been same item being replaced, I would have happily said 80% of the solution, 90% of the solution, 85% of the solution of the total. Be nice. But then every iteration a different item is being replaced here. It's important that we have a look at it. Right. So first I need to know 200 liters is there, 30% acid by volume. So 200 liters acid and then water. So acid is 20%, sorry, 30% is acid. That means it is 60 liters. This will be 140 liters. 30 liters is going to be acid, which means 30% is acid, so that's 60 liters. First, he is replacing this with 20% of the solution with water. So entire composition 20% is removed and that is replaced with water. Now we know that when you replace the entire 20% with water, you lose 20% of water, you lose 20% of acid, but water is again regained. Whatever that you took out, you are again giving it back. But the 20% of acid that you lost is lost. That means from here, you are losing 20% of this. So 20% removal here. So 20% removed here will say 10% is 6, 20% is 12. So minus 12 liters, this will be 48 liters. Which means the remaining all will be water because it is replaced with water now. So whatever is left out has to be water for me. So this will be 152 liters of water. Now 10% of this mixture is removed and replaced with acid, which means 10% of water is lost, 10% of acid is lost, but again acid is given back, which means the water that you lost is lost. There's nothing that you do about it. That means I'm losing 10% here, minus 10%. So 10% of 152 is 15.2. So 15.2 subtracted from 152 will give me 147, 137, 136.8. Am I right? 136.8 plus 0.2 is 137 plus 15 is 152. So you end up with 136.8 liters of water and no water is added back because whatever was removed was replaced with acid here. That means the rest all will be acid only. So how much acid will I have here? 140 is 60 and 3.2, 63.2 liters of acid. Now finally 15% of the solution obtained is replaced with water again. You replace 15% of the total with water, which means you lose 50% of acid, you lose 15% of water, but again water is added back. So that's not my concern. But 15% of acid is lost. So you are not getting anything else from this. So this 63.2, you end up with only 85% of this, 85 by 100. Or I can write this as 63.2 into 17 by 20. So 63.2 into 17. So 60 into 17 is 1020. And then 3 into 17 is 51. And then 0.2 into 17 is 3.4. 1074.4. So 1074.4 divided by 20. So 107.44. 107 is 53. 1.44. Okay, 72. So this will be 53.72 liters of acid left out. So again, I'm finding 85% of acid. That is what will be left out. So finding 85% of acid will be 53.72. Someone just give me whether the math number is correct. I'm getting 53.72. The question is percentage of acid in the final solution. So I'm ending up with 53.72 liters out of the entire 200 liters into 100. 2 zeros gets cancelled. 53.72. Had it been 54, it is 27%. 53.72 is slightly lesser than that. 0.14 less than that, 26.86. Do I have that in the option? I have 27, and that will be our right answer. Nice question. If your math is good, if your understanding about replacements and concentrations are good, this is a question that you can happily take it. Nice question to work around with. The funda behind this, every time you replace with something else, you lose one part. If a mixture is replaced with water, acid is lost. So just find the remaining percentage of acid alone. That's the key. You can keep doing this every time and then proceed this, and this is doable. So solve it another 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes question in the back. Would I take it? Would I recommend you to solve it? Once again, if your calculation ability is relatively good, if you think, or if you can pull out a calculator and do the math relatively quicker, I think this is a question that's definitely there in the cards. The only idea is doing the math part. I'm comfortable doing the math without a calculator, but feel free to go ahead and use a calculator, get used to it. Any doubts? Any questions? Aishwarya is asking, sir, only starting question is easy or all easy? I do have a mixed bag. Arithmetic is always easy. And second thing, sometimes when you see a question being solved, when you attend a class, when you look at a question, you will have a feeling like the question is good because you are getting an external support here. I am solving. So you will always feel that to be relatively easy, but when you put your pen down and then solve it, you will probably struggle. So not any question, not every question is easy. I've picked a few mixed bag here. Some questions are tricky, challenging, lengthy. For example, the first question was slightly lengthy. It was easy but lengthy. If you had noticed, every question has to be done with brute force. There's no beautiful logic that I can apply and get it straight away. That's not happening. We have to ensure that we stick with that, right? We'll move on to the next one. Have a look at this question. Right. Go to the third one here. Shruti travels a distance of 224 km in 4 paths for a total time of 3 hours. Okay. Her speeds in these 4 paths follow an AP. So the speeds in the first leg, second leg, third leg and fourth leg, if you point out to all the speeds, they follow an AP. And the corresponding time taken to cover these 4 paths follow another AP. So that also follows another AP. If she travels at a speed of 960 meters per minute for 30 minutes to cover the first part, then the distance in meters she travels in the fourth part is painful. I'm looking at 4 different legs, and also there is also an added layer of arithmetic progression here. Let's see what we can do about this. First, I'm going to draw a line and then plot everything that I know. So I know that there are 4 legs in total. Right. So the first leg, she travels at 960 meters per minute. And the time that she travels here is 30 minutes. We know that the time is an AP. The speeds are also an AP. So I'm going to use the AP format here. So the next one would have become 30 plus D. I'm going to use different variable here correspondingly. 30 plus T, 30 plus 2T, 30 plus 3T. The speeds are also an AP. So I'm going to say 960 is the first speed. The second one will be 960 plus S, 960 plus 2S, 960 plus 3S. Clear? Any doubts? So the speeds are also an AP. The time quarters are also an AP. I'm using different variables so that we can get convenient with it. Now we know that the total time traveled here is equal to 3 hours. So 3 into 60 is 180 minutes. So I can nicely say 4 times 30 is 120 plus T plus 2T plus 3T is 60 is equal to 180. From here I can say 60 is equal to 60, T is equal to 10. So I'll get T is equal to 10. I can use T equal to 10 over here and then call this to be 30 minutes. Let me draw a line here. This will be 40 minutes. This will be 50 minutes. And this will be 60 minutes. Right? Now I have time. I also happen to have speed. Speed into time will give you distance. 4 distances put together is 224 kilometers. So you can equate them. So how will you write that? You will happen to get 960 into 30 plus 960 plus S into 40 plus 960 plus 2S into 50 plus 960 plus 3S into 60. This will give you the total distance. This is speed into time, speed into time, speed into time, speed into time in all the four legs put together. This will give you the total distance. The total distance is given as 224 kilometers, but 960 is in meters. So I'll have to convert that to meters. So simply multiply this by 1000. You will get 224000. Now let's expand this. Now this is 960 into 30, 960 into 40, 960 into 50, 960 into 60. So we'll have to add all four of that. I can take out 960 common. We'll be left out with 30, 40, 50 and 60. I'll write it for you. This will become 960 into 30 plus 960 into 40 plus 960, sorry, plus 40S. So 40 into S plus 960 into 50 plus 100S plus 960 into 60 plus 180S. Yes, I can take out all of this common. I can take 960 common from all four of this. We'll end up with 30 plus 40 plus 50 plus 60. So that will become 960 into 30 plus 40 plus 50 plus 60 plus 40S, 100S, 180S. 40 and 100, 140. 140 and 180 is 320S. 320S is equal to 224000. So this is 180. So I'm looking at 960 into 180. 96 into 18. Okay. 18 into 100 is 1800. 18 into 4 is 72. 1800 minus 72. 172800. So someone verify and tell me whether the math is correct. So this will become 320S is equal to 224000 minus 172800. I can further write 320S is equal to 2240 is here. So there's a 240 here. There is a 220 here. Am I going right? So subtracting these two, what do you get? 0, 0. There's a 28. Okay, 28 now 72 is 1800. 400. 440. 5120. Are you getting 5120? 51200. Can someone verify that? Am I getting the right number here? 51200, 51,200. Add 50,000, you get 22,000. And 12,200, yes. So yes is equal to 51200 by 3120. Sorry, 320, not 3120. My bad. 320. 32 is a power of 2. I'm going to write it here. S is equal to, that is 2 to the power 9 into 100. This is 2 to the power 5 into 10. So cancel this off 4 times. Cancel this off. S is equal to, you will get this to be 2 power 4 into 10. 160. Can someone verify that? I'll also probably have one quick look into it. I'll do the math. Yes. So S is equal to 160. The question is distance traveled in the fourth part. Distance traveled in the fourth part is 960 plus 3s into 60. So I'm going to go to the next slide. 960 plus 3 into 160 into 60. So this will be 960 plus 480 into 60. 1440 into 60. 14 into 6 is 84. And then 24, 86,400. And that will be our answer. It's a pain. It's a pain. Nice question. Boring. Look at all the math that you have done here. Again, this should be in your second priority. This is an easy question. Now, I usually graph this out. If this is difficulty and this is time, your first quadrant, if you split this into 4 quadrants, any question that falls here is easy and less time consuming. This will always be a first priority. This will be slightly moderate, but then less time taken with proper fundas. This has to be your second format, second preferred zone. Any question over here has to be your second. Now what we actually do is we pick this zone. This is ideally your third zone to go for. Easy but lengthy. A lot of times we fall for this, but provided with some good consistency, we can attack this and then come back to this. This is a question that's lengthy. We might have to do a lot of math. Again, the comfort of calculations comes handy to me. If you are not that comfortable with it, you might have to pull out a calculator and do every math over there, which can slightly take more time. This will solidly take some 5 to 6 minutes. I would recommend that you keep this for review, visit all the questions and then come back to this. This is a question that you need to solve, not immediately. I would recommend, despite the fact it is an arithmetic question, despite the fact it was simple application, my recommendation will always be save it, mark it for review, look at all the other questions. Maybe there are other questions that will take probably 2-3 minutes. Spend time with that and come back to this. Not on your first go. That would be my recommendation. Will this be in your first case scenario? That depends on how your strategy is. Now, if your mindset is, I am not solving any other question apart from arithmetic, go for it in the very first go. Just go for it in the very first moment, attack it. If your mindset says, I haven't prepared anything else except arithmetic, if that's your standpoint, do it in your first attempt. If you feel like, hey, I've covered other topics as well, I might as well look into the other questions and come back to this, do that. Clear? I want to have one quick look at the chat here. Neeru is asking last part. Can you repeat last part? Neeru, which part are you referring to? Are you referring to this part here? Can you just tell me which one it is? Can you tell me which one you are asking? Here, see, you have equated this. From here, you are finding the value of S. I didn't have a calculator, so I simplified it and then solved it. Simply do 51,200 by 320, you will get S is equal to 160. But S value sits here. The question is distance traveled in the fourth part. What is the distance traveled in the fourth part? This is the distance traveled in the fourth part. Where is it? Speed into time. Speed into time. So this speed into time is going to give you the distance. As a result, I'm multiplying this over here and finding it. Clear? Oh, that's Anjali from Pioneer West. All right. Clear, Anjali? Are we good? Awesome. So we'll move on to the next one. Have one look at this. And now let's solve this one. The question says the ratio of the number of students in the morning shift and afternoon shift of a school are 13:9. After 21 students moved from morning to the afternoon shift, this ratio became 19:14. Next, some new students joined in the morning and afternoon shifts in the ratio 3:8. And the ratio of the number of students in the morning shift to the afternoon shift became 5:4. The number of new students who joined is the question. So let's do this. So first one, it is given us 13K. 13K by 9K minus 21 plus 21. 21 students from the morning shift to evening. So that will be equal to what? 19 by 14. So let's do the math here. So this will give you 13 into 14 is 169 plus 13, 182K minus 14 into 21, 294 is equal to 9K into 19 is 171K plus 19 into 21. 19 into 20 is 380 plus 19 is 399. So this comes here. 11K is equal to, this goes over there, 400 plus 293, 693. Or K is equal to 693. You can beautifully see this to be 63. So K value is 63. So original students was 13 into 63. So 13 into 63 is 63 into 10 is 630. 630 plus 189. That will have 819 students initially. And then 63 into 9 will give me 540, 567. But minus 21 plus 21 has happened. So after the shift of 21 students from one place to another, we happen to have 798. Here we have 588. But again, in the ratio of 3:8, students join here. So it is giving us 798 plus 3x divided by 588 plus 8x is equal to 5 by 4. Ratio becomes 5 by 4. Brute force this. I'm not liking this question once again. 800 into 4 is 3200, but minus 8. So this will be 3192 plus 12x is equal to 588 into 5. 600 into 5 is 3000. 3000 minus 60. 3540 plus 40x. So this goes over there. Have I done the math correctly? Quickly verifying it this once again. 798 into 4. 800 into 4. It's 3200. This needs to go there. This needs to come here. Mm-hmm. 588. Sorry. 588 into 5 is 3000. Sorry. It is 3000. 588 into 5 is 3. 600 into 5 is 3000 minus 60. This is 2940. 2940. Okay. So this goes here. This comes over here. So you will get 28x is equal to 3192 minus 2940. So 28x is equal to, there is a 60 here and there is a 192 here, that is 252. Or x is equal to, I give another 28, that is 280. So x is equal to 9. So x is 9. But the question is, the number of new students who joined is 3x and 8x. That's a total of 11x students who have joined. So that is 11 into 9 99 students have joined the class. Clear? Pain. Again, if you notice, the questions look neat. The questions look simple. The problem is you might have to brute force, do the calculation and get them right, which is a pain. You can crib about it, you can rant about it, but nevertheless, you sit and solve and you sign off for the day. Clear? Nice question. Do I want to attack it in the first go? Again, that's subjective depending on where you stand. But a general recommendation, if you feel like you haven't solved 3 questions on a trot and you are looking for some momentum, go for it. Usually I'll keep this on reserve and remember, hey, this question is doable, I've marked it for review. But if you feel like you've dumped 3 questions on a trot and you feel like your momentum is dipping, then maybe take this question and solve it. Otherwise, wait, look for other questions and then come back. Clear? Any doubts? We'll hop on to the next question. One last question for the day. Let's have a look at it. Check this out. We'll do this one now. Another nice question to work with. So the question says, a shopkeeper offers a discount of 22% on the marked price of each chair and gives 13 chairs to a customer for the discounted price of 12 chairs to earn a profit of 26% on the transaction. So he's earning a profit of 26%. If the cost price of each chair is rupees 100, then the marked price in rupees of each chair is what? So there is a cost price. There's a cost price which is 100. From here, it has been marked to a certain price. We don't know what that marked price is, but he's giving a 22% discount on the marked price, which means from here, this bugger is giving 22% discount. But still, what happens? And gives 13 chairs to a customer for the discounted price of 12 chairs. So what is he doing? He's selling 13 chairs at the discounted price of 12 chairs. Whatever the selling price of 12 chairs is after the discounted price, for that price he is giving away 13 chairs. 13 chairs at the discounted price of 12 chairs. Take 1 chair's discounted price, that is 78% of your marked price. He is giving it at 12 such chairs cost and is giving away 13 chairs. So what is the cost price computed for? 13 chairs. What is the selling price computed for? 12 chairs, and they are equated. That's all. And still this bugger gains a profit of 26%. They both happen to be the same selling price. Let's do this. So 100 rupees per chair, he buys 13 chairs cost, whatever the cost of 13 chairs is, he takes that into 26% increase. I can write it as 126 by 100. This will be equivalent to whatever my marked price of 1 chair is, that we don't know, into 22% discount on that price, which will be 78%, 78 by 100, and that will be for 12 chairs. Discounted price of 12 chairs is equal to cost price of 30 chairs. That's what is given over here. So I've written an equation beautifully. Let's solve for it. So I'm going to cancel out 100 and 100 gets cancelled. 13 cancels out 78 beautifully 6 times. 6 cancels out 126 21 times. 21 and 12 go off in 3. This will be 4 times. This will be 7 times. 4 cancels off 100 25 times. So marked price is equal to 25 into 7 is 175. And that will be our answer. Beautiful question. This is a question that I would want to attack first. It's a one-step statement. I have to read that question, figure out what equation comes in. The moment I write my equation, everything falls in place. These are questions that I would want to attack. These are questions that would take me less than 2 minutes and assure me of my 3 marks in the paper. But if you are struggling to catch up with the logical part here, you might have to practice over and again to get comfortable. There's nothing else you can do to get better at it. Clear? Any doubts? I'm going to have one quick look at the chart here. Other, yeah, bang on. 175 is the right answer. We'll do the last question. Have a look at this. Let's talk. Yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. We'll redo this entire question. Sorry about that. Now are we back? Are we better? Good with the audio now once again? I'm sorry, I had it on mute. I didn't realize that. Just quickly tell me if the audio is back and good. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Yes. Sorry, no worries. No worries. We'll redo this again from scratch. So the question is, in a class there were more than 10 boys and a certain number of girls. 40% of the girls and 60% of the boys left the class. The remaining number of girls was 8 more than the remaining number of boys. Minimum possible number of students initially in the class was. So initially, let's say we had G girls and B boys. Now removal, you removed 40% of the girls and 60% of the boys. So which means you'll have 0.6 G, 0.4 B. 40% of the boys left, 60% of the girls left. Thus, the remaining number of girls was 8 more than the remaining number of boys. Or we can nicely write 0.6 G is equal to 0.4 B plus 8. 8 more than that. So I'm going to multiply this by 5. So this will become 3G is equal to 2B plus 40. Or I can say G is equal to 2B plus 40 divided by 30 divided by 3. So G has to be an integer, B has to be an integer. We'll have to plug in minimum values every case. Ensure that both of them end up with integer. But there is one other point that you need to understand. 60% of the boys were removed. 40% of the girls were removed. So if I remove 60% of the boys, you will be ending up with 2/5 of the boys. You are ending up at 2/5 of the boys, clearly telling you that B is a multiple of 5. Then only it will be an integer. You can take B some random integer which is not a multiple of 5. You will end up with the remaining boys in some decimals. The number of boys can never be decimals. Number of girls cannot be decimals. So the two things that I know is, minimum one I know is B is a multiple of 5. G and B, both of them have to be multiples of 5. Why? 40% of the girls were removed, which means 3/5 of the girls are remaining. Clearly telling me that number of girls should also be a multiple of 5, right? So we'll plug in every minimum value of B and then look for it. Boys were more than 10. There were 10 more than 10 boys. So the minimum value of B will be 15. B cannot be 10 because more than 10 is given. So minimum value of B is 15. So if I put B equal to 15, I will get G is equal to 2 into 15 plus 40 divided by 3. Won't work. G will be a decimal. 30 plus 40 70. Won't work. Next case, B is equal to 20. G is equal to 2 into 20 plus 40 by 3. This is 80 by 3. Won't work. This is 70 by 3. Won't work. Now if I take B equal to 25, next multiple of 5, I'm going to check for it. So G is equal to 2 into 25 plus 40 divided by 3. So that will be 90 by 3, which is 30. So G is a multiple of 5, B is a multiple of 5. That's the minimum value of B and G I can take. So G is 30, B is 25. So the minimum possible value is 55 in the class, and that is our answer. Beautiful question. I would want to solve this question first. If I happen to notice this question, I'll happily put all my heart and soul in this question and then solve it. Because the question itself has a nice layer to it. The only idea is you have to understand B has to be a multiple of 5, G has to be a multiple of 5, and then you work for it. Otherwise, equation is simple trial and error, and the numbers were also nice and neat there. I would want to attack this question at the first go. So the decision making also comes into picture at some point. This class is all about making you understand how you attempt a question. We are not talking about how do you solve a question. We are talking about how do you select a question to solve. So out of these 6 questions that I had, some 2-3 questions I would attempt them in the first go. I will attempt all 6. My recommendation is all 6 of them were there to be solved. The only challenge is the only question that you are asking is how challenging the question is and when are you going to solve it. Is it in the first review or second review or in the first go? So that decision is upon us depending on where we stand. But otherwise, all 6 questions over here are doable. I'm not telling them they are easy. I'm not telling them they are simple. I'm telling you they are challenging with respect to the time management part, but conceptually boring conventional questions to be solved, right? Any doubts? So that's it for the class. In case if you haven't joined the Telegram channels, there's a QR code, you can scan it and get it done. If you have already done that, so you have to understand we are done for the day. We'll see in the next class, we'll do a few more questions. We are good to go now. Thank you.